机会。
人类之主，
手法太猥琐了，完全不给我正面交锋场面。
手中圣物，
机械做的，
敌人拥有比我们更高端的探测设备。
砸碎了！秦玉皇
设备，他的实力很可能达到了峰。
就是那一字怪兽，快走！
手持神火。
Hello everyone! Welcome to the Alrasta channel. Here, I will share spoilers for SwallowedStar episode 184. Remember, this is based on the novel, so it won't be 100% similar to the Donghua version. Okay, without further ado, let's dive right into the story. After meeting with his master, Luofeng began the most intensive training phase of his life. The leader of Primal Chaos City had prepared an extraordinary training arena of immense size, featuring an endless virtual space. Here, Luofeng would face a series of specially designed opponents aimed at exposing every weakness in his techniques. The training system set by his master was extremely challenging and structured. If Luofeng could defeat 500 opponents, his techniques would be considered top tier. Reaching 1,000 victories meant his techniques were on par with the peak level of the Shi Luo Duo Absolute Manual. However, the ultimate goal was 2,000 victories, an extreme level only achieved by techniques created by the city leader himself. Each of these numbers is not just a statistic, but a representation of a level of mastery that is almost impossible to achieve. The battles Luofeng faced were brutal and mentally draining. Each opponent was specifically designed to target specific weaknesses in his techniques. Some battles can be resolved in 10 days, while others take up to 10 years and still remain unconquered. One of the toughest opponents among the first 500 is the space beast Hui Suo, who possesses the ability to stop time. To defeat this creature, Luofeng had to fight hundreds of times over an entire 18-year period before finally securing victory. With extraordinary dedication, Luofeng managed to defeat the first 500 opponents within 200 years. However, he was not satisfied and continued his journey. The difficulty level increased drastically, and the time required to defeat each opponent grew longer. To sharpen his understanding, he continued studying 3 ancient images depicting beast god battles, something far more profound than the absolute manual of Shi Luo Duo. The pinnacle of his achievements came after 1,000 years of intensive training when he finally defeated his 1,000th opponent, the rare and terrifying green thread bug. This creature could produce trillions of green threads and control an entire planet as its weapon. The battle against the green thread bug lasted 102 years, with Luofeng losing countless times before finally discovering a way to destroy all the green threads and split the planet like tofu with his silver wings. When the golden-horned behemoth finally raised its head and roared in victory, Luofeng felt an overwhelming sense of euphoria. He had successfully created a peak-level technique, the first form of what would become the legendary manual. Although he planned for the manual to have 6 forms in total, the achievement of this first form alone was already on par with the legendary works of Shi Luo Duo. His own technique was even more suited to Luofeng than the extreme-level techniques created by others. When he met his master again at his residence, Luofeng saw the physical form of the leader of Primal Chaos City for the first time. A figure clad in a long golden robe, with green scales on his head, a face resembling that of a human from Earth, but eyes as deep as an endless ocean. His master praised this extraordinary achievement, acknowledging that self-created techniques indeed granted the greatest power because they were most suited to the creator's characteristics. When asked if he wanted to continue the challenge toward the 1,001st opponent and beyond to reach the extreme level, Luofeng answered without hesitation. His ambition to become stronger left him unsatisfied with his current achievements. He had named the first form of his technique Milky Way Across the Sky, a technique that used scaled wings as blades that could fly and easily switch functions. Now, he only needs to think of a name for the entire manual that will one day become legendary throughout the entire universe. After achieving extraordinary success by creating a top-tier technique, Luofeng faced a seemingly simple yet crucial challenge, finding the right name for his creation manual. Well, although Luofeng had already named the first form, the technique itself still needed a name. In front of his patiently waiting master, Luofeng pondered various possible names. He considered Wingblade, Voidblade, Six-Form Wingblade, and even Shi-Wu Manual, or Blood Shadow Manual. But each name felt lacking in meaning and lacked the profound mental power he sought. In the silence, Luofeng's eyes suddenly lit up as inspiration struck him. He realized that the manual he had created must have a philosophy of mental strength, something that could strengthen the hearts of warriors and reflect the deepest determination of its creator. Various scenes from his life began to flash through his mind like an emotional flashback. Those memories took him back to his early days as a novice warrior who wanted to end his parents' suffering and provide a decent life for his family. He remembered his dangerous adventures in the wilderness, his battles against monsters to obtain dragon eggs and armor, the moments when he had to fight like a demon to survive, and his promises to his younger brother, Luohua, to make him stand confidently before the woman he loved. Every step of his journey, from becoming a branch inspector of the Extreme Martial Club organization, facing disasters on Earth, and leaving the planet to venture into the vast universe, to all the dangerous missions he undertook, all stemmed from the same resolve: to protect the people he loved and his home. With a deep understanding of ancient Chinese literature, Luofeng recalled classical poems that expressed longing for family through the symbol of the moon. Bright Moon Policy. The name came to him perfectly. The moon symbolizes longing for home and family, while policy represents his ambition and spirit to never give up in becoming stronger. Although the city leader was curious about this unconventional choice of name, he gave his full support and hoped that one day the name would strike fear into the trillions of races across the universe. His master then provided a comprehensive explanation of the hierarchy of battle techniques, from low tier, normal, upper tier, and peak to extreme. The newly created Bright Moon Policy technique by Luofeng was at the peak level, equivalent to the works of absolute knights and geniuses like KD. It was even on par with the legendary Shi Luo Duo manual, which was only around the 1200th level in the training system, showing just how extraordinary Luofeng's achievement was. Most surprisingly, the Chaos City Lord revealed that with the help of the special training system he had designed, Luofeng's learning efficiency had increased hundreds to thousands of times. What would normally take hundreds of thousands of years to learn on one's own, Luofeng managed to accomplish in just 1,100 years. An achievement that even surpassed his master's initial expectations of 2,000 years to create a top-tier technique. After receiving training in the virtual battlefield, Luofeng returned to the extraterritorial battlefield with renewed vigor. On Misty Sand Island, warriors of other races began to feel relieved as the terrifying silver beast that had been absent for 100 years had vanished. They speculated that the creature had gone to the main continent in search of greater challenges, or perhaps had even been killed by the immortal kings there. Unbeknownst to them, Luofeng was indeed on his way to the main continent of Yanji aboard the Yunmo ship. This continent, tens of thousands of times larger than Misty Sand Island, was teeming with powerful warriors, with many immortal Marquis warriors roaming everywhere, and even immortal kings with terrifying wealth and weapons. Luofeng realized that he must be extremely careful and not reveal the connection between the identity of the World Master Star Devourer and his silver beast. As his Yunmo ship glided toward the vast horizon, Luofeng stared at the main continent with determination. Although the dangers that awaited him were far greater than anything he had ever faced, he was ready to take on the challenge. With his newly created Bright Moon Policy technique as his reliable weapon, a new journey toward the pinnacle of true power began in the true battlefield, where only the strongest could survive. After entering the main continent of Yanji, which spans a diameter of 1.8 light-years, a colossal landmass thousands of times larger than all the surrounding islands combined, Luofeng immediately realized how different this battlefield was. During the 36 days of exploring the continent with his Yunmo ship, he and Babata had scanned more than 800 teams of warriors from various races. Surprisingly, every single team had at least one immortal Marquis warrior in it. This phenomenon was not a coincidence, but a reflection of the brutal level of competition on the main continent. With such a high percentage of immortal Marquises, approximately 1/3 of the entire immortal population, any team without an immortal Marquis warrior would be swiftly eliminated. They were forced to form alliances or join teams with immortal Marquises to survive. This situation was like the law of the jungle. Only the strongest could survive. Despite having explored the continent for over a month, Luofeng had yet to encounter a single immortal warrior. Babata explained that this was normal given the vastness of the continent, which required 2 years of flight to traverse in a straight line. The immortal kings also possessed more advanced scanning devices, allowing them to hide their presence from detection. Bored with the game of hide and seek, Luofeng decided to take a risky yet clever strategy. He ordered Babata to activate all the scanning capabilities of both devices while disabling the more advanced jamming system of the first device. This move was like lifting a veil. The enemy team with scanning devices would automatically detect his presence. Luofeng deliberately made himself bait to attract the enemy's attention. The strategy quickly paid off. Approximately 310 million kilometers from his position, a black ship belonging to the Wei race, a powerful race affiliated with the demon race, detected Luofeng's presence. The team consisted of 3 immortals, a wolf-headed, scaled man serving as the captain, and 2 subordinates from the Wei race with compound eyes and butterfly wings. The Wei warriors were discussing complex galactic politics when they detected Luofeng's ship. They talked about how humans excelled in technology and life forms, supported by the virtual universe network that united all human races. They also discussed the complex relationships between various races. It turned out there were 6 peak races in the universe, not just the 4 Luofeng had known about. Most intriguing, they mentioned the Space Beast Alliance, a super organization whose members are scattered throughout the universe. These space beasts possess extraordinary power but have no fixed territory, and the demons desperately want them to join their ranks to become the highest peak race. When the wolf-headed captain detected that there was only one world master on the human ship, the 2 demon races were shocked yet delighted. They couldn't believe there was a world master daring to roam alone on the dangerous main continent. The captain immediately suspected that this was the famous World Master Star Devourer from Misty Sand Island, a figure who possessed the deadly power of the star-eating plant. Considering Luofeng to be an easy prey who was overconfident after conquering Misty Sand Island, the 3 demon warriors enthusiastically decided to attack him. They did not realize that they were walking into a trap meticulously set by Luofeng. The demon race's black ship began moving swiftly toward Luofeng's position, initiating what they believed would be an easy hunt, unaware that they were heading toward a confrontation with one of the most dangerous and madman warriors to ever set foot on the main continent. With the Bright Moon policy as his secret weapon and combat experience honed over thousands of years, Luofeng was ready to face his first true test in the arena, where a warrior's true reputation is forged in blood and victory. As the enemy ship drew nearer, the 3 demon race warriors continued to underestimate Luofeng, who appeared relaxed as he sipped wine in his control room. They even mocked him, saying that if Luofeng knew he was being watched by the immortal Marquis warriors of the demon-feared Gold How race, he would surely kneel in fear. These demon race soldiers were certain they had found an easy target. An absolute genius of the human race who would yield high contribution points if killed. However, unbeknownst to them, Luofeng was casually counting down while muttering about how happy they were for not knowing the tragic fate that awaited them. With confidence, he declared that the contribution points he would get from them would be high enough, and his golden-horned behemoth should have no trouble defeating them. The battle began with a sudden attack in the form of immortal light balls that knocked Luofeng's ship down. However, from the smoke rising from his ship, a black figure emerged, standing tall on top of it, holding a shield and a red sword on his back. The 3 enemy immortals immediately surrounded Luofeng from all sides, mocking him as a foolish child who dared to come to the main continent. 2 immortal warriors from the Wei race immediately attacked with millions of white threads like spiderwebs that could cut through anything, trying to trap Luofeng in a cocoon that was almost impossible to escape from. However, their attacks were in vain. With ease, Luofeng vanished from the white thread trap and reappeared thousands of kilometers away, showcasing a speed that even surpassed the renowned speed of the Wei race. The secret to Luofeng's superiority lay in his combat experience against the Wei race at the Immortal King level during his training with his master. He was already highly familiar with their techniques and weaknesses. Luofeng's counterattack came swiftly and fatally. Using his self-created technique, Bright Moon Policy First Form Milky Way across the sky, he launched 3 consecutive lightning strikes. The blood-red shadow blades created unstoppable silver flashes, slicing through space and forming a path resembling the Milky Way. This attack was so powerful that it instantly tore apart the body of one of the Wei Yi race enemies. The other 2 immortals of the Wei Yi race managed to reform their bodies, but both lost 2-3% of their immortal soul bodies. They were shocked to realize that the world master they had underestimated actually possessed power close to that of an immortal king. Seeing this, the wolf-headed captain revealed his true form, a gigantic golden-scaled beast with a wolf's head and horns, a member of the demon race's Fear Gold Hao kingdom, renowned for its ability to devour. Though aware that Luofeng was stronger than expected, the enemy captain remained confident he could defeat him, as Luofeng was merely a world master without an immortal body. The Fear Gold Hao race immediately launched their signature attack, opening their mouths and creating a terrifying suction force to swallow Luofeng. The entire sky and land grew dark as the powerful spatial energy worked on Luofeng's body. However, with cunning, Luofeng summoned the star-eating plant, which immediately swelled to a diameter of 100,000 kilometers, something too large to be swallowed even by the Fear Gold Hao race. Forced to halt its devouring attack, the demon created a golden domain around the battle area and rushed to attack Luofeng directly. However, Luofeng calmly accepted the challenge, stating that the demons would serve as the test subjects for his new technique. With a blood-stained shadow blade in hand, Luofeng charged toward his enemy, ready to showcase the true power of the Bright Moon Policy he had created. The battle that would determine his reputation on the main continent had begun, a true test to prove that he was not just an ordinary world master but an absolute genius, with power approaching that of an immortal king, ready to shake the entire extraterritorial battlefield. A fierce battle raged between Luofeng and Demon Fear Gold Hao across the vast desert. Though Luofeng's blade strikes managed to slice through the demon's scales and skin, causing it to spew golden blood, the wounds meant nothing to the immortal creature. Instead, Luofeng's extraordinary speed and evasion skills left the demon frustrated, as it couldn't land a single blow on him. Demon Fear. Gold Hao began to panic, realizing that to defeat this cunning human, he must burn his immortal body, a great sacrifice equivalent to burning his soul. In his desperation, he began sending reports to the Demon Race Alliance through his communication device, reporting the discovery of a human world master with power approaching that of an immortal king on the main continent of Yanji. However, while the demon was busy reporting, Luofeng used his advanced scanning device to block the enemy's communication and summoned the golden-horned behemoth, which appeared as a dazzling silver silhouette from the distance. The 2 Wei Yi beings, who were chatting casually, suddenly felt a terrifying pressure before Shiwu's wings, and the beast instantly split them apart without mercy. Seeing the bodies of his subordinates shattered instantly, Demon Fear Gold Hao realized that the silver beast was an immortal king, at least of a high level, judging by how casually it had destroyed the immortal marquee warrior. Filled with fear, he fled immediately, alongside Luofeng, who pretended to be startled. However, his hope that the silver-armored beast would chase after Luofeng was shattered when the golden-horned behemoth instead turned to pursue him. The true power of the Bright Moon Policy in its original form, the wing attack, was revealed as the beast struck. Shiwu's wings, acting like blades, created silver flashes that defied the laws of space, slicing the demon in two and causing it to lose 6% of its immortal body in a single strike. The demon realized with horror that its opponent was a peak immortal king. The golden-horned behemoth's consecutive attacks caused the demon to lose 50% of its immortal body. In total despair, Demon Fear Gold Hao chose to destroy itself, exploding all the energy accumulated over the years within its immortal body. The explosion, equivalent to the attack of a peak immortal king, tore apart hundreds of thousands of kilometers of space above the desert. However, the golden-horned behemoth had anticipated this suicide attack. With Shiwu's wings enlarged to cover his entire body, he managed to withstand 90% of the explosion's power. After collecting the loot from the 3 slain immortal marquises of the demon race, Luofeng reflected on his current strength. With the presence of a level 18 beast god, the peak technique he had created, and his immortal king-level physical structure, the combination of the three gave him the power of a high-level immortal king. Shi Wu's wings, imbued with terrifying space law energy, could even easily injure the body of a peak immortal marquis. However, unbeknownst to Luofeng, his report had already reached the Demon Management Department in the extraterritorial battlefield. Two black puppets, one with a lion's head and one with 99 minotaur heads, analyzed the threat posed by this human genius. They realized that this world master with power approaching that of an immortal king was likely one of the 100 core geniuses of a major human organization, possibly a member of the primal secret realm within the Virtual Universe Company. What was most concerning for the demon race was Luofeng's future potential. Currently, he was indeed powerful, but could still be killed since he did not yet possess an immortal body. However, once he became immortal, killing him would require costs tens of millions of times greater. With his clear potential to become a high-ranking immortal king, or even a peak immortal king, the demon leaders agreed that such a threat must be eliminated as soon as possible. A decision was made to report this discovery to upper management, initiating a massive hunt for Luofeng. Despite his recent glorious victory, a far greater danger had begun to loom. The entire Demon Race Alliance now knew of his existence and would attempt to kill him before his terrifying potential could be fully realized. Luofeng's journey on the main continent had just transformed from an adventure into a race against time to survive. In the remote region of the main continent of Yanji, a magnificent ancient palace stands amidst endless ice mountains, the residence of King Purple Sky of the Demon Race. The atmosphere in the palace is tense, with members of the renowned Purple Sky team whispering about their captain's recent bad mood. This elite team consists of an immortal king with teleportation abilities as their captain, a low-level immortal king as their vice captain, and almost all of the other members are peak immortal marquises, a terrifying force on the main continent. Deep within the palace, King Purple Sky, an immortal king, a charming fox-headed woman in a black robe, was raging alone. It had been a year since she received this mission to kill the human world master, whose points were equivalent to killing an immortal king. However, despite the entire demon alliance on the Yanji continent being ordered to report the target's whereabouts, not a single report had come in. Frustrated, King Purple Sky, who had initially been confident in her teleportation ability that could span the entire continent in an instant, was certain she could complete the mission easily once the target's location was known. Out of the 329 immortal kings in the Demon Race Alliance, she had been chosen for this prestigious mission due to her strategic superiority. However, the harsh reality was that the target they sought seemed to have vanished without a trace. Unbeknownst to King Purple Sky, Luofeng was actively hunting in their territory with a highly cunning strategy. Above the vast ocean, terrifying silver flashes split the air, creating a silver galaxy in the sky, the first form of the Bright Moon policy attack, which sliced through enemies at the Immortal Marquis level, splitting them in two in an instant. Although he managed to reform his body, the Immortal Marquis lost 18% of his immortal body before finally choosing to kill himself rather than suffer further. After the battle, Luofeng reflected on his new combat experience on the main continent. Unlike the two previous Wei Yi immortals who were still weak, the Immortal Marquises on the main continent were much tougher. His human body alone, even with sword techniques, was insufficient to kill enemies. He had to rely on the power of Shi Wu's wings to truly injure them. Though Luofeng's human body was far weaker and could only trigger a small amount of spatial energy, with Shi Wu's wings, he could still kill low-tier immortal marquises. What made Luofeng so effective was his genius strategy in concealing his true strength. Shi Wu's wings could hide his true energy, allowing him to control the energy pressure released by Luofeng. In this way, he could disguise himself as an ordinary peak immortal marquis when using his human body, while the golden-horned behemoth with wings could release far greater power when needed. Luofeng divided his combat strategy into two categories: battles for training and battles for collecting contribution points. For training sword techniques and developing the Bright Moon policy, he used his human body against challenging opponents. For maximum efficiency in collecting points, he deployed the golden-horned behemoth at the beginning of his battles. Most importantly, these two identities never appeared together to maintain secrecy. Over the past year since the battle with the Wei Yi race, Luofeng had engaged in 6 major battles against 10 warriors at the immortal level. 3 battles used human bodies for training, and the other 3 used the golden-horned behemoth for point hunting. The results were impressive. 5 immortal marquises and 3 immortal lords were killed. An extraordinarily high efficiency for a main continent teeming with danger. Now, Luofeng felt ready for a greater challenge. Low-tier immortal marquises were no longer sufficient to hone his sword techniques. He needed stronger opponents like high-tier immortal marquises to provide a true challenge. The thrill of hunting various races with their unique techniques and methods brought him unparalleled joy. Ironically, the more active Luofeng became in his hunt, the more frustrated the demon race hunters searching for him grew. They were unaware that the target they sought was actually haunting their own continent, accumulating contribution points while honing his combat skills. This cat-and-mouse game would continue, with the true predator and prey remaining a mystery to both sides. Long story short, 3 years have passed since Luofeng arrived on the main continent of Yanji, and this period has been the most fulfilling in his combat journey. With unwavering dedication, he spent most of his time studying combat, the laws of the universe, and the presence of the beast god while continuously refining his self-created technique, the Bright Moon Policy. During this time, he participated in 15 impressive major battles, successfully killing 22 immortal marquises and 19 immortals. Luofeng's hunting efficiency was astonishing. The golden-horned behemoth accounted for the majority of the deaths, with 18 immortal marquises and 13 generals, while his human body only killed 4 immortal marquises and 9 immortal lords. Surprisingly, to kill the immortal marquises, his human body still had to rely on the power of Shi Wu's wings, demonstrating how formidable the enemies on the main continent were. Long story short, 3 years have passed since Luofeng arrived on the main continent of Yanji, and this period has been the most fulfilling in his combat journey. With unwavering dedication, he spent most of his time studying combat, the laws of the universe, and the presence of the beast god while continuously refining his self-created technique, the Bright Moon Policy. During this time, he participated in 15 impressive major battles, successfully killing 22 immortal marquises and 19 immortals. Luofeng's hunting efficiency was astonishing. The golden-horned behemoth accounted for the majority of the deaths, with 18 immortal marquises and 13 generals, while his human body only killed 4 immortal marquises and 9 immortal lords. Surprisingly, to kill the immortal marquises, his human body still had to rely on the power of Shi Wu's wings, demonstrating how formidable the enemies on the main continent were. Over the past 3 years, Luofeng's reputation has begun to spread widely. His golden-horned behemoth, which always appears as a silver beast armor figure with terrifying wing attacks, has earned the nickname Silver-Winged Immortal King. Though only 2 of his 18 victims were peak immortal marquises, his ability to kill numerous high-ranking immortal marquises proved his strength to be on par with that of a high-tier immortal king, an extraordinary achievement considering there were only over 1,000 immortal kings across the main continent teeming with countless races. Meanwhile, a new threat began to lurk unbeknownst to Luofeng. At the virtual base of the Automaton race, a young soldier named Si Wei Ka was leading a complicated life. The Automaton race had a strict, pyramid-shaped hierarchical structure. Every living AI was born acknowledging someone as their lord, and this bond could not be broken unless their strength one day surpassed their lord's. Si Wei Ka, though only a peak immortal marquis, received special treatment from his master due to the life and death experiences they shared. This causes jealousy among the senior immortal kings, creating internal tension. However, Si Wei Ka doesn't care. With the wealth and trump cards given by his master, he is confident he can even face an immortal king and even threaten a peak immortal king if cornered. This excessive confidence stemmed from his experience killing numerous immortal marquises over the past years. When the advanced scanning device given by his master detected the presence of a human world master, Si Wei Ka's eyes lit up at the golden opportunity. A world master with such advanced equipment must have a powerful background and astonishing wealth. The more genius the target, the higher the contribution points earned. Without hesitation, Si Wei Ka ordered his pyramid-shaped ship to approach and kill Luofeng, who was in the midst of training. He did not realize that the target he deemed easy was the silver-winged immortal king, who had been causing chaos across the main continent for the past 3 years. Luofeng's misfortune was that the enemy's device this time was more advanced than his own. The technological advantage that had always been his reliance had now turned into his weakness. As danger loomed, part of Luofeng's consciousness was still in the virtual universe, enjoying a romantic moment watching a movie with his wife, Xu Xim, at the Black Dragon Mountain residence. When his scanning device finally detected the threat, Luofeng's expression changed drastically. Apologizing to Xu Xin, who panicked upon realizing her husband was in danger on the extraterritorial battlefield, Luofeng immediately logged out and returned to the real world to face what might be the most serious crisis since he arrived on the main continent of Yanji. The battle against enemies with superior technology would be the true test of all the skills he had honed over the past 3 years. In the depths of an ancient underground palace filled with images of sacrifices dating back trillions of years, Luofeng was meditating peacefully when disaster struck. 9 pillars of laser light simultaneously pierced through the thick stone layers and slammed into the palace with brutal force. A tremendous explosion instantly shattered the palace and tore apart the surrounding space, sending debris flying in all directions. Luofeng only came to his senses when the attack had already hit its target. With lightning reflexes, he activated his black armor and raised the beast god shield to protect himself. Although the laser's power had been reduced by half after penetrating the stone layers, its impact was still incredibly devastating. Thanks to the shield and his quick evasion skills, Luofeng managed to survive the deadly opening attack. As darkness engulfed the ruined palace, Luofeng flew backward and broke through the caves to emerge onto the surface. The sight that greeted him was shocking. 9 pyramid-shaped ships surrounded him from all directions, clearly the source of the 9 deadly lasers. Realizing these were Automaton race ships, Luofeng immediately asked Babata to scan the enemy but received the bad news that their scanning devices couldn't penetrate the enemy's advanced systems. For the first time since arriving on the main continent, Luofeng faced an opponent with superior technology. From the energy barriers surrounding the 9 pyramid ships, he realized that each ship was far more expensive and advanced than his own Yunmo planet ship. Only by deploying the golden-horned behemoth might he be able to threaten the enemy fleet. As Luofeng attempted to flee, his enemies immediately launched the next phase of their attack. The 9 ships simultaneously opened massive cabin doors, hundreds of meters wide, and like swarming locusts, millions of black automaton puppets shot out like lightning. In the blink of an eye, over 9 million 10-meter-tall puppets filled the sky, each carrying various weapons on their backs. Luofeng was stunned by the enemy's overwhelming wealth. 9 million F9-class automatons made from Black Swan F9 Essence, a highly expensive, high-grade metal. Each automaton was worth at least 10 hunyuan, meaning the total investment for the automaton army alone reached 90 million hunyuan. This was an incredible waste, as such a large sum of money would normally be better invested in high-quality treasures or weapons. The coordinated attack began when the nearest puppets gathered energy in their chests and released 1 million beams of light that formed pillars 100 meters in diameter. 9 ships attacked in succession, forcing Luofeng to defend himself with his beast god shield and warrior armor. Though he tried to escape using his best movement techniques, the enemy formation was highly cunning. As one group spread out, another closed in, maintaining optimal distance for sustained attacks. Siwei Ka, the mastermind behind the attack, was stunned to see Luofeng withstand 20 consecutive attacks, each equivalent to the full explosion of a peak immortal marquise. The target shield seemed completely undamaged, and even dispersed most of the attack's power. Realizing his opponent was no ordinary world master, Siwei Ka intensified the assault by ordering 3 forces to attack simultaneously. When the combined attack was still repelled by Luofeng, Siwei Ka decided to use his ultimate weapon, the fire trap formation. 90 million puppets simultaneously ignited with a striking red light, releasing an extremely powerful energy. Luofeng realized that these were no ordinary cheap puppets. Each possessed an advanced energy core worth hundreds of hunyuan, bringing the total value of the army to several billion hunyuan. 1 million puppets from each army drew their weapons and fired giant red beams that gathered to form a deadly net surrounding Luofeng from all directions. Feeling the unmatched power, and realizing that fighting in human form would leave him trapped with no hope of escape, Luofeng finally made a crucial decision. With an earth-shaking roar, Luofeng's human form disappeared, and a huge silver-winged beast appeared in the air, emitting a terrifying pressure throughout the area. The appearance of the golden-horned behemoth in its true form as the silver-winged immortal king immediately sent Si Wei Ka into a panic. The enemy they had thought was merely a weak world master turned out to be a legendary immortal king who had once shaken the main continent. The true battle was about to begin, between the extraordinary technology and wealth of the Automaton race and the pure power and legendary techniques of the Bright Moon policy from one of humanity's greatest geniuses. The fate of the main continent of Yanji would be decided in the epic confrontation between 9 billion Hun Yuan and the wings of Shi Wu, which could split the very fabric of space itself. Alright, thank you for watching until the end. And don't forget to support this channel with likes, subscribe, and comments. That's all from me. Bye.
这大夫机会